Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of Benchwarmers. It is Tuesday, early in the morning. First chance I've been able to do this in a couple weeks, just on account of the fact that I've been stuck at Great Mall pretty much every day for like the last month. So my apologies in regard to not keeping a regular schedule on this. Anyway, Flashfire, what's going on, bro? Anyway, if you guys aren't able to catch the show live, you can always catch it on YouTube at Hat-Club. Subscribe to us, which is a fancy word for follow, and give us a like if you like what you see. Last couple weeks have been kind of nuts, just on account of the fact that Olympics was going on, and I was kind of intermittent with that, catching the few events that I could, catching some replays when I could, but then thankfully Peacock, aka the cock, helped fill me in on a couple events that I missed out on because there are certain ones that I have a particular fondship for. Most notably high jump, a little bit of pole vaulting, a little bit discus and shot put, etc. And men's decathlon. I've always been a huge fan of that, especially during my days at the University of Oregon, where I was practically next door neighbors with one of the greatest decathletes of all time, Ashton Eaton. We both went to the University of Oregon together. We were friends during our time there. And yeah, so I always like to check in to see what's going on with that. But anyway, gonna lead the show off, of course, with all my jersey scoops. And I got a few. Just on account of the fact that, so much time has passed by where it's just like I was able to accumulate some new stuff. But anyway, here we go. First up, Milwaukee Bucks, Mr. Eric Murdoch. So this is one I already have, but the main reason I scooped this one up is because of the fact that there is a particular collection that I'm trying to accumulate here. And the one that I already have is a little bit rougher shape than this one. So this one I plan on keeping. The other one I plan on doing a modification to. This goes back to discussions I've had in the past in regard to I'm trying to pull together as best I can, but then there's a lot I have to get custom made. All the top 10 draft picks from 1990 through 2000, so essentially the entire champion era. So for this one more specifically, or at least the one that I'm going to modify, going to go with number 6, Joel Prisbilla. He was in the top 10 for the 2000 NBA draft class, so at some point I'm going to get that one done. But anyway, easy to do with the number 5, just switch out the number and blah blah blah. Anyway, next up, this is one that's been on my mind for a long period of time, and I occasionally come across it. Elk Dot, what's going on, brother? Occasionally come across it, but never pulled the trigger on it. Of course, it took me being in Las Vegas over the first weekend of August for me to find one at like a reasonable price. And so Gary Payton, which case I've got pretty much every Gary Payton. This is the only one that was kind of eluding me. But more specifically, this is the reversible one that they had brought out in 1995, 1996. So there you go. Green on one side, white on the other. I've had the Sean Kemp one ever since that 95, 96 season. Just didn't have the Gary Payton one. $40. Can't go wrong. And I was it was funny because I was shooting craps when I saw this one become available, and I just kind of briefly checked my phone, and it's just like, yep, I'm gonna buy that one. So shout out to El Cortez. That's where I was shooting craps when I bought this bad boy. Liam Menas, what up, dude? So don't worry. I haven't done Benchwarmers in a few weeks, so you really haven't missed much. I think the last episode of Benchwarmers I did was like the last full week of July. And but yeah, I've been, like I said, at the top of the show, been stuck at Great Mall pretty much every morning, and so finally had some free time to do this. Things are much improved over there, so I don't need to go there as often. But yeah, kind of crazy that I had to be there for so long. Logan Herrera, what's going on? Good morning to you, brother. So Flashfire says, so I don't know if anybody's asked this before, but how do you know which jerseys were made? Was there a master list you have or something more than that? So here's kind of the interesting thing. there is a master list somewhere. I do not have it. Um, at some point, I'll make my way to North Carolina because that's where Champion headquarters is. And I have to think at some point there's somebody there who's got an archive list of this because all I'm relying upon is photos I've seen on the internet. There's a guy who runs a website called Champion Blogger. He has not updated it in years. He does not have every team available, but he does have a lot of teams. I think it all like alphabetically, the last team he has listed is like the Philadelphia 76ers. So um it's not based on city name when I say alphabetical, it's based on team name. So then he's got, the teams that are missing are like the Spurs, the Sonics, the Warriors, the Suns, the Timberwolves. So I think those are the 5 teams that are right there that he doesn't have listed. So I'm kind of relying upon my memory and what I'm able to find on the internet. So it's a little challenging at time, but I have been able to, find photos of ones that I didn't realize existed because every now and then there is one that I come across where it's just like, oh damn, I didn't know this existed. So when it comes to doing my customizations, Wizards, thank you. Because the bullets he does have listed, Wizards is the other team. Thank you. Um, when it comes to customization, I try to stay away from ones that were made by Champion just because the fact I'd rather just, live in the thrill of the hunt and try and track one down rather than take the easy route and get one made. It just doesn't feel as, authentic to me if I were to go that route. So that's kind of the plan I got with that one. No, Logan Herrera, it's not necessarily a matter of like, great monies get whipped into shape. There's a new manager. We've been going through some training process. He got COVID last week. So I had to fill in there just because nobody else could. And then another guy got jury duty. So it's been challenging to say the least. So, but it looks like everything is kind of like settled down a little bit. Got a new guy we're hiring this week. Got to train him. So I'll be back Thursday and Friday. And then hopefully from that point forward, it's just like, yeah, once a week, go back to my regular Friday schedule, just being there. We'll be good. Lee Mina says, was just down in Cali, but Great Mall was the opposite direction we drove from. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, because I mean, Great Mall is like closer to San Jose. So if you're going like northbound from Oakland Airport, it's like, yeah, you're going the complete opposite direction there. So no, I was not. So I wasn't technically the manager at Great Mall. There was a point in time when I was the regional manager of like all the stores in the Bay Area. The main store that I was running, or the main 2 stores I was running, were Ceremony out in Daly City and then Sun Valley Mall in Concord. So did that for many years. Anyway, back to the jerseys. So going back to, jerseys I didn't know existed, ones I'll come across, and especially when it comes to teams that are not on that particular list that I was talking about from that website. Here's a prime example of one. So Phoenix Suns, number 30. That's right. Uncle Cliffy, Cliff Robinson, RIP. This is one that I knew existed for like a long period of time. And it just rarely ever came up because I mean he was only playing there for like a short period. Like most of his years were with the Portland Trailblazers, to which case I've had his Portland Trailblazer jersey for like 20, 25 years. So to come across a Phoenix Suns one was kind of a big deal. And not a bad price on this one. I want to say it was like 85, $90. So Uncle Cliffy. And then the last 2, this goes back to the previous show that I did because there's been just like an ungodly run of Chicago Bulls jerseys that I've, accumulated. The latest one to come in, like I think for the previous show, there was like a Robert Parrish that I picked up. There was another player too that I'm spacing on right now, but time ago, but because I have his Orlando Magic jersey, and that of course is number 54, Horace Grant, from the first three-peat that the Chicago Bulls did. So pretty solid condition. Ain't too mad about this one. The only bummer part is after I bought this one, somebody posted one on eBay for like $30 cheaper. So womp womp, bummer on me. And the last one I got, oh my god, just got freaked out there. My door opened up all of a sudden. So anyway, um, number 35, if you guys remember, Jason Caffey. Oh yeah, that's the other one I got was that Bill Wennington, number 34, because I actually ended up wearing that one to Vegas, one of the trips that I went on. So, but yeah, Jason Caffey. I already have his Warrior jersey, but I didn't have his Chicago Bulls. Oddly enough, I did have this one like years ago. Got it from some dude in Canada, ended up trading it for something else. And for the life of me, I cannot remember what that is, but got it back in the collection. So thank God for that. Flashfire says, and a little time with the Warriors too. That's correct. And Elk Dot says, Ben, I copped your We Believe hat. I can't wait to rock it. Dude, appreciate that, man. Um, what's funny is I got a bunch right here because they gave me two of each, one to rock, one to stock. And of course, in regard to this one more specifically, I'd already bought this one. So now I've got three of these. I got to swap at least one or two of them out for that other Warriors colorway, Thunder era colorway that we did. That one that actually says athletics on it. So we got that one at Great Mall. So I got to do a little swap out at some point. So Liam asks, Ben, if Oakland moves as is speculated, will you cheer for still care about MLB as much? No, truth be told, I will not. I have been like mentally checked out of Major League Baseball, I would say, for the last year. I mean, I'm kind of following the standings still, and especially like when I go to Vegas and I make my, sports bets that I do, which I'm going to talk about toward the end of the show. That's about the only time I really kind of look into it and care about it. But for the most part, nah, I've just been kind of like out of it. And Mariners, I'm still keeping an eye on. The Brewers, I'm keeping an eye on. So like I'm still focused on the teams that have never won a World Series and or at least a World Series in my lifetime. Orioles are on that list too, just because of the fact that the Orioles won in 1983, even though that was the year I was born. I don't remember that shit. The earliest memory I have of a World Series with baseball is 86. So Mets and Red Sox. So for my timeline of baseball fanhood, like it really begins there. So I'm more focused on teams that go to and or win the World Series from 86 and beyond. So thankfully the Royals took care of that in 2015 because they had won in 1985. Cardinals won, or sorry, I almost said Cardinals won in 84, but no, that was the Detroit Tigers. So that's another team that's still on the list that I'm focused on. They took down the Padres in 84, and of course the Baltimore Orioles. So kind of crazy that since that point in time, like the Tigers have made two World Series, lost to the Cardinals one time, lost to the Giants the other time. So that was what, '05 and 2012. Orioles haven't been to the World Series since 1983. So definitely focused on that one. Mariners, of course, the only team to have never been to a World Series. So at some point, hopefully this year that kind of gets settled. I would much prefer a Seattle Mariners versus Milwaukee Brewers World Series because then it's like, all right, one of these two teams is going to get knocked off my list, and I'll be pretty stoked about that. But anyway, that's how it is for me. But yeah, as far as anything having to do with the athletics organization, nothing. I am so mentally checked out, and I've been doing my best not to go to games this season. I've been to one so far, just because my friend Alex, who lives in Vegas, wanted to go to the Coliseum one last time. So of course he asked me to go with him. And I think I've got some other friends that are coming in from Houston. They want me to go. A couple other people have hit me up. Hey, let's go last time. And it's just like, okay. But on the good news, yeah, Flashfire. I was actually just getting ready to mention that. The Oakland Roots, the USL soccer team that plays in Oakland, potentially a couple years away from, jumping up to Major League Soccer. They are going to be playing in the Coliseum after the A's leave, which is awesome because the fact that they've been playing all their games in Cal State East Bay, so like Hayward area. And that's a bit of it's not so much that it's a bit of a drive. The problem with it is when you want to drink beer and enjoy soccer, that's where it becomes a bit of a drive. Like, don't drink and drive. I don't recommend that at all. Ubers and Lyfts can get kind of expensive going out there. I liked a little bit better when they were playing at Laney College, just because the fact that I live like 2 miles away from there. So getting there and back with a full ton full of boozery was kind of an easy thing to do. But yeah. Anyway, Pioneer Stadium. That's right. But no, it'll be good to at least hold on to that. I don't want my final memory to be, oh, the A's just dipped out of town. So it's just like, all right, at least sports will still be being played there for years to come. So anyway, on with the show, I guess. So let me get this set up. Of course, I'm worried that my computer is going to stall out and everything like that, just because that always tends to happen whenever I do a screen share and my audio doesn't link up with my mouth, which I feel like it's doing right now, but I could be wrong. You guys are better assessors of that. But anyway, the Olympics. I would say kind of honestly overall, from what I was able to watch from July 26th through August 11th, it was enjoyable. Um, okay, I'm okay with the sync so far, which is great. Didn't really catch much of the opening ceremony, didn't catch any bit of the closing ceremony yet. At some point I'll go back and watch that. The only thing I know is that Tom Cruise did a rappel down and as the passing of the torch to go from Paris into Los Angeles for 2028, which my wife and I have been talking about this, and it's just like we're probably going to go down to LA and catch a few of the events going on there because she has her favorites, I have my favorites. I particularly, and this is say this is not against the sport or the athletes involved. I don't tend to go out of my way to watch swimming events or gymnastics just because of the fact that there's so much of it. Now, occasionally it plays because it's the only thing that's going on. And granted that, gymnastics and swimming tend to take up like the first full week of the Olympic Games. I'm more focused on the actual track and field events, which usually take up the second half of the Olympics, with the exception of the decathlon. The decathlon always starts early for some odd. Um, this was able to go through 3 events, and I think it's about to leave Peacock soon, so I can't even go back and recap that. I'll just have to do, like, a consolidated, recap video of how things went. But Dude Pal from Norway, I know, won that. Um, from the few events I was able to see, it was pretty solid, but, anyway. Logan Hurst says, "I mean, it's 10 events, gotta spread that out a bit." I agree with that, but I was gonna say, it's over, like, 3 or 4 days that this goes on, so and Logan Herrera says swimming at SoFi will be insane. I agree with that. Liam Mina says I swam and played water polo, so those are my go-to events, which I totally understand. Water polo, I've been on board with a little bit more and more, just because the fact that as I get older and get a better understanding as far as how difficult these events are, and especially water polo, because it's basically just murder ball in water. Um, the fact that you can basically, kind of drown somebody. Yeah, you might get called for a foul, but it's only, what you can see on the top of the water because you can't really see what's going on below. Because what's going on below is dudes are getting kicked in the crotch. Other dudes are wrapping legs around, try to, screw up a shot, etc. And so madness. Southside Steven Seavright in the house. Good to see you here because especially toward the end of the show, when it's gonna really matter that your presence is here. But he says you're gonna be front row for flag football in 2028. I probably will not. I'll be more focused on the track and field events, like I said. So anyway. United States and China both topping out with 40 gold medals each. Of course, the United States finishing it with 126 medals total, 44 silvers, 42 bronze to add to that 40 gold medals. Um, of course, it could have been an actual tiebreaker, which occurred on the second to last day. I'll get to that in a little bit, just because it was because of my favorite event, where this little conundrum came into play. But as far as like I said, what I was able to catch, going to start off with the first medal that the Americans were able to snag down, which of course was women's synchronized diving, which is an absolutely insane sport to begin with. I had my reservations when they first introduced it a couple Olympics ago, but it's grown on me. Much in the same sense of synchronized swimming. My wife and I actually caught a bit of that toward like the last few events that they were doing. And that's kind of one of those things where it's like I was talking about when you get older and you start to appreciate the difficulty of things a bit more, synchronized swimming is absolutely insane. Um, the fact that you can choreograph any kind of dance moves and rhythmics and stuff like that, but you're doing it in water is wild. But the most notable thing, of course, of this are the two athletes' names, Cook and Bacon, which is a great tandem in regard to names when you're part of a duo. So shout out to them. They bagged the silver. Of course, the Chinese basically dominated in every single diving event, men's and women's, which is how they accumulated such a high number of golds for this Olympics. Not hating on them. Like there are just some events that they work their asses off at, and I respect the hell out of that. So anyway, one of the earlier events that I really loved to watch, really got heavily into was the women's rugby sevens, and I feel like everybody can kind of agree with this. This is why I don't particularly care about football being added to the 2028 Olympics, even if it is flag football. I know it's going to draw some interest in that, but rugby's kind of the way to go, and especially the way this bronze medal game finished out. Less than 10 seconds left on the clock. The US had one more move to make and, did their between the legs pass and basically the equivalent of I think it was like a 97-yard touchdown run, essentially. I know it's not called a touchdown in rugby, but I'm just kind of giving like an equation of how it goes for like American football. And, dude, and yeah, and I was gonna say, some people remember it, but because the fact that it happened so early in the Olympics, like people are just kind of like in disbelief. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. This did actually happen. And the call for that particular run was especially as epic. And so shout out to the women's rugby sevens team capturing a bronze. So against Australia, big deal. And I don't mean big deal as in sarcasm, I mean big deal as in it was a big deal. So hold on one sec. Looking at her, it says USA was low-key lackluster this year, but also the world has definitely gotten better overall. And I agree with that. Basketball, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, is the one where it's like it's a weird outlier. Yes, there's a ton of talent around the world that competed you know, very hard, very. I was about to say toughly, but that's not a word. Against the U.S. in both men's and women's, but regardless, the gold medal games for both men's and women's basketball was actually pretty goddamn fun to watch. So Katie Ledecky, got to show this graphic, even though it happened a little bit later in the Olympics, like kind of like toward the end of week one. This, of course, was the screenshot from the 1500-meter freestyle, where she just absolutely blew everybody out of the water, figuratively and literally. But the most notable thing about this was her ninth gold medal, which in regard to swimming puts her in I think it's a 7-way tie for second placed on most gold medals in swimming. She's obviously like head and shoulders above everybody as far as women, but be tied with so many of the male swimmers. Absolutely incredible. Of course, it's going to be a very long time, if not never, when anybody chases down Michael Phelps's record of 32 gold medals, 23 gold medals. I might be interchanging the numbers on that one, but absolutely insane amount of gold medals that man has won over his career. Not to mention like all the bronzes and silvers he has. But also shout out to Leon Marchand for taking down Michael Phelps's last world record. I forgot to write down which specific swimming event it was. I know somebody's going to throw it here in the comments, most notably Flash Fire, and I will comment on that as soon as I see it. But yeah, to be able to dominate as long and as hard as he did. But Katie Ledecky still going at it. And I think realistically, even though she's getting older, that she can still compete in the next Olympics in 2028. This is kind of a proven tale. Like she may not win every single event, but from a long distance perspective, which is what she's a master of, she's definitely got it. Okay, thank you. Logan Reyes, 23 gold, 28 overall. Appreciate that. I knew I was getting the 3 and the 2 mixed up there somewhere. So partially corrected myself in the process there. Quincy Hall, you son of a bitch, and I mean that in the most loving way possible. Um, I 400 individual medley for Marchand over Phelps. Thank you, Flashfire. Yes, that was the last world record that Michael Phelps was holding on to until Marchand broke that. I was at Round Table Pizza in Montclair, so just eating the pizza buffet and watching the Olympics when this went down. 400-meter men's final, which is hands down one of the most thrilling race events that went down at the Olympics, I would say. And especially when you consider the fact that with just a hair over 100 meters left to go in the race, let me zoom in on where Quincy Hall is. Oh, he's right there, sitting at about fourth place. And like my wife and I talked about this later just because, I was out, she was at home watching, and she was like texting back and forth, like, oh, hey, did you see this race? Like, oh, yeah, I did. The look in just absolute anguish and pain on Quincy Hall's face as he was just like digging deep within himself to will himself to the finish line um, was extraordinary. And then during the like the semifinals the day before, he kept talking about the end because he really didn't want to do much of a an interview, because he was in game mode, he was in the zone, whatever you want to call it, and just flat out said, just watch tomorrow, I'm going to come out with something special, and he surely did. um Incredible. And just really goes to show the resiliency of like a lot of these athletes. And they may play these in sports, and I cut out there for a sec, so I'll say it again. But regardless of which, Olympic athletes are the top of their level for a very specific reason. And this is kind of a prime example of that. So Logan Herrera says, I also feel like most of the legacy U.S. Olympians will be attempting to compete in 28 just because it's on American soil. Will it be good for the team? I don't know, but the stories will be great. Oh, dude, no doubt. My wife is a huge sucker for all the promo packages and stuff, so she all about it. Of course, I got to talk about my fellow Ducks. Cole Hawker, 1500 men's. Uh, Steven Seabright, I know, caught this at the same time. The highlight package they put together before this race was absolutely insane. Most notably between the two gentlemen behind Cole Hockner, Josh Kerr of Great Britain and Jacob Ingebrigtsen, of course, of Norway. Basically, the entire package was Ingebrigtsen talking mad shit to everybody because he had done so well at the previous Olympics in Japan. Um, Basically going on this rant of nobody can beat me, nobody can beat me. Him and Josh Kerr had some good head-to-head battles all throughout like the qualifiers, the world championships in Eugene, etc. There he is in the comments. I saw your tweet about that, and so I'm glad we both caught that at the same time. But out of nowhere, Cole Hawker, University of Oregon Duck, just just like Quincy Hall, just dug deep down the stretch, had a way better kick in that final 100 meters than Kerr and Ingebrigtsen. But so did Yared Nuguse, who finished in third place, got the bronze medal. So Ingebrigtsen of Norway didn't even get a medal. Dude pal finished fourth place. So talking all that shit just to get snuffed out. But it was great because first time since the 1950s when two Americans both medaled in the 1500. We think about this, kind of historically, where it's just like it's not typically for the U.S. that long distance running is their strong suit. Granted, there have been some great long distance runners in the past that have come out of the U.S., but typically it's the Europeans, it's the Africans that are usually dominating the 1500, 3000, the steeplechase, the marathon, etc. So this was a big deal. So two Americans, of course. Naguse went to Notre Dame, so but whatever. But Cole Hawker, Oregon Duck, baby, getting that gold. Sha'Carri Richardson finally getting an appearance in the Olympics. won a gold medal with the women's 4x100 meter relay team. She also won a silver in the 100-meter relay, or not relay, the 100-meter dash. My apologies. So great to see her finally achieving her Olympic dream. Hands down, one of the best lady runners currently going to date. An LSU Tiger. As I've said many times over many shows, over many years, the most dominant sports program at LSU, of course, is the women's track and field program. It's not football. It's not baseball. They're both good at it, but women's track and field is where it's at, anchored, of course, by Sha'Carri Richardson. Simone Biles continuing her gold medal count. She got 3 more this Olympics plus a silver. This, of course, coming off of 2 silvers that she got in Japan. Um, injuries aside kind of marred that, but it's like it was good to see her bounce back. And, one of the things my wife and I talked about is, I'm glad the Olympic Committee kind of set like an age precedent on this because we don't have like 13 and 14-year-olds competing in this anymore. um oh yeah, and the whole Childs incident with the bronze. I mean, okay, so watching the Childs incident in real time, so I can't remember who the other gymnast that went before her and essentially lost out on the bronze because the fact that the US appealed the point deduction that Childs had gotten because the fact that they had said she'd stepped out of bounds, but there was clear video evidence to prove that she had not. But the same with the previous participant. She had not stepped out of bounds. And for whatever reason, her Romanian, thank you. I knew that was right. It was in my head, but it's just like I didn't want to be wrong. Um, the Romanian coaching staff did not challenge the point deduction that she had gotten by quote unquote stepping out of bounds, which she did not do. Had they done that, then it's like, yeah, this wouldn't be a discussion. Romania would have won the bronze outright. But here we are. So anyway, Simone Biles the GOAT is really just the moral of the story on this, and I applaud her. So this, of course, is from the Tokyo Olympics, as it says in the background behind, but this is kind of foreshadowing as far as what I was talking about earlier, why there was a tie in the gold medal count between the US and China at 40, and it could have been US with 41. So this was the 2 winners of the men's high jump final from 2020, where I forgot to write their names down. One's from Qatar, the other, of course, from Italy. Both competed in this Olympics, and Dude Pal from Qatar finished with the bronze. Dude Pal from Italy, who had been dealing with some Achilles injury, etc., he unfortunately got knocked out relatively early, so that was like really tough to see. But the fact that the two decided to share the gold medal the previous Olympics was one of the feel-good stories, at least in my opinion, of the Olympics, aside from the fact that I'm a huge high jump fan. But the fact that they both respected each other enough, and it's just like, you know what? Both walking away with golds. This is awesome. We're both clearly the best in the game. And that day they definitely were. But Shelby McEwen of the it's just funny how this one shook. He and Hamish Kerr of New Zealand got into the final. They had the option of, taking the same route as 2020. You can both get a gold medal. We can be done with this. But Shelby McEwen decided, nope, I want to win this outright. And I respect it. I respect that decision. It's just funny the way it shakes out. In Hamish Kerr, of course, I forgot to grab this photo or at least a screenshot of it, had one of the moments of the Olympics because his previous final jump, which basically pushed them into a jump off where he decided to just essentially plank through underneath the bar onto the mat was great. And of course, we're going to be seeing that gif for years to come. But I didn't mind it. I enjoy a good jump off for high jump just because the fact that test your abilities and see who truly is the best. But of course, it did not work out for Shelby. Even when they finally had to, move the pole down a few centimeters, Kerr was able to jump and able to get the gold. So bit of a life lesson there for Shelby McEwen, but most notably, he'll be back for the next Olympics, and we'll see if he's jumping out of the building for the next one, and we'll be there, which is great. Men's basketball, of course, I'll talk about the women's basketball as well. But mainly wanted to grab this screenshot of Steph Curry's most absolutely insane shot of his career. And I mean, we've seen some crazy shit, some half quarters, some buzzer beaters, etc. But getting a double team when you have two guys up basically the the top of the perimeter, just like asking for the ball, but Steph Curry just like, nah, I got this. And of course, once it went up, like we all knew this shit was going in. I feel like the only people who weren't aware of the fact that that ball was going in were the French. And I mean the French team, the French fans that were there. To which case I fully respect the French fans that were there. They were into it the entire game. This is a level that we don't typically see in the United States with the NBA, maybe with college. College is about the closest, but the absolute insanity and passion that European fans have for basketball is top tier. I would love to go to Europe to a high level pro league game just to just kind of like take in that atmosphere. Goddamn. US win. Loner says, "Have you hope you have the screen cap of the French commentators after that Curry shot." I don't, but but the fact that they called Curry the devil was phenomenal. Flashfire says, not just one big three, not two, not three, but four. No, I agree. And it's like I can't, focus like, a couple minutes on each individual three-pointer that Steph put or Steph hit. Um That one, of course, was oh, that's right. The devil named Curry is hurting us. That was it. Um, I gotta focus on that one because it was it was so insane. Like nobody should be taking the shot, yet he somehow does. And then of course the great shot of Victor Wembanyama going full just stretch out mode, trying to block Curry, being unsuccessful. I mean, that's just the way it went and that's how the way it goes for all the best defensive players and defensive teams in the world. It's like you cannot stop that man. And fastest released, greatest form, undeniably. And then the women's game. I forgot to grab a photo of that. The women's gold medal game coming down to the very last shot. And unfortunately, Williams taking the KD moment of foot on the line for the three-pointer, thinking she was in the right spot to tie the game. She still nails it. US win by one. Absolutely insane finish there. So great way to finish out the Olympics. Maybe not great for France as the host country, but yeah, good for the US. Um, Iman Khalif. Gotta talk about this one. I'm not gonna spend a ton of time on it, but beyond proud of her. And talk about just going through mental anguish for the entire stretch. Um, and especially for a sport that not a lot of people like necessarily care about. And I'm not talking about just boxing as a whole. Most people don't give a shit about Olympic boxing because it's scored differently. You don't see a lot of knockdowns. Um, but this one from Italy who stopped the match. A little bit of a freeze up there. Hold on. Who stopped the Italian fighter who stopped the match, a couple seconds into the first round because, oh, I've never been hit so hard in my life. And it's just like, okay. Um, and yes, Khalif was also able to prevent the Chinese from getting one more gold and thus splitting the tie. But no, just the amount of abuse that she took online, being born a woman, living as a woman, and being accused of being transgender and, oh, she's a dude and she shouldn't be fighting, the women's division, absolutely insane. And on my most recent trip to Vegas, um, yeah, almost had to fight some dude over this shit just because the fact that this is how it starts. It was some dude and his wife and daughter standing behind me as we're getting ready to board the plane. And then all of a sudden, I just hear, "Oh, did you hear about that dude who fought, in the women's division, the Olympics?" And I just stopped I was playing Pokemon Go at the time, just stopped what I was doing, and I'm like, dude, fuck you. Do not start this shit. In same thing, born a woman, lived as a woman, biologically a woman. Like, get over it, dude. Just do not start this fucking shit. And anyway, so beyond proud of her. Respect the hell that she's basically trying to sue the shit out of everybody right now. And I hope she wins. Get that gold and get rich, baby. Just because of the fact that everything everybody passed and said was an absolute goddamn lie. And I hope better days for her. Anyway, this was I was glad I was able to catch this. So marathon runner for many years, and so she has that. Glad I was able to catch this. It was super late at night when it was being run. I was kind of falling asleep, but I caught the end of it. Sifan Hassan, finishing out, winning the gold medal at an Olympic record pace of 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 55 seconds to win the gold for the Netherlands. Now, the most notable thing about this is Hassan had competed in 2 other events in the Olympics, the 1500 and the 3000, which, if you think about that, all taking place in the same week, absolutely insane to be doing that much. Bronze in the 5,000, and of course, nailing a gold medal in the marathon, and especially with that finish at the end, because she has an unbelievable kick. And to having already raced 2 long distance races before that, incredible. First time since 1912 that anybody had accomplished that as far as medaling, not meddling kids like Scooby Doo, but getting a medal in an event in a 1500 or 3000. But snag the gold. That was it. And of course, the women's basketball team, beat France after this, but it's like this was like the uh notable is the Olympic athletes. So anyway. Oh yeah, last but not least, Jordan Lyles. How could I forget about Noah Lyles? Sorry, not Jordan Lyles. Noah Lyles. 100-meter dash men's final. I know I had it kind of out of order because it obviously happened, before a lot of these other events, and I try to keep it in time relevancy. But I'm going to talk about this one here and again in a second, just because the fact that this race was incredible. Originally, I thought Dude Pal from Jamaica won, and my heart kind of sank a bit. But I was focused on the wrong U.S. runner. I was more focused on Dude Pal over here, next to the guy from Jamaica. Thompson, I think the guy's last name is, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway, the fact that Noah Lyles was able to, just squeak that head in to win the gold medal in the 100-meter. Awesome. But like I said, I'll come back to that in a minute. U.S. women's 26 gold medals are the most by a women's team in a single Olympics. Excellent job, ladies. The one event I didn't talk about was the women's 400-meter run. Everybody, including Bull from Netherlands. I forgot her first name for a second, but goddamn, that was impressive. And record and cleaning everybody's 40 meters. Ridiculous. That's the kind of shit I love to see. So baseball. So going back to what we were talking about earlier with baseball, I do focus on it a little bit, but not really. So happy to see the Orioles are still on top, even if it is Sox totally blowing the Yankee odds work on that one. Red Sox still hanging around in third place. Rays in fourth. Blue Jays down in the cellar. It's pretty much all but done for them. Still unbelievable that, in the time that we last did an episode of Benchwarmers, the Rays traded Randy Arozarena to the Mariners. Smart move. Very smart move. Mariners needed some bats, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit when we get to the AL West. But everybody just playing average baseball right now as far as the American League East. I'm hoping the Orioles can get a little bit more of a gap in between them and the Yankees in the this next coming weeks. Would much prefer them winning the division. So obviously, Twins kind of back on that comeback. If they want to. 3.5 games behind the Guardians right now. Of course, Guardians are 3-7 in their last 10. A little bit of a rough stride for them. Royals still hanging around in third place, but of course the Tigers and the White Sox down the gutter. White Sox especially, my God, 41.5 games back. I mean, from them being mathematically eliminated from post. For as bad as everybody wants to talk about the A's are, it's like, nah, dude, the White Sox are a million times worse. Um, Astros with a half-game lead over the Mariners in the AL West. Hopefully that changes soon. The Rangers just falling fast. I mean, World Series champions last year, definitely not going to be competing in the postseason this year, which I ain't mad about really. But Angels and then A's. And I was gonna say, for as bad as the quote unquote the A's are, they at least win some tough games, and they've got some great talent in their lineup, especially with Brent Rooker. Um, should have been an all-star. But anyway, here's the difference between the two. A's are 50 and 69. Yeah, White Sox 29 and 91. That was basically the A's last year. But once again, resiliency and guys who don't want to give up. And I respect the hell out of the A's players for that one. And I feel bad because, obviously I'm not going to the Coliseum. John Fisher, sell the fucking team. That whole situation. So I feel bad for not being physically there to support them, but I do what I can. National League East, Philly still dominating, Braves 7 games behind. Mets were on that bit of a heater for a bit, still playing a little bit above 500 ball for them, but it's looking like Grimace is definitely deceased. Then followed by the Nationals and the Marlins. Over in the Central, Brewers with a nice little 7.5 game lead on the Cardinals. Reds, hoping you guys make a comeback here. Pirates, of course, fading a little bit quicker than I was hoping they would, but it is what it is. But yeah, need the Brewers to win this division. Fucking win that division. God damn it. Um, I had said before the season started that the Dodgers, I've got them finishing third place in the National League West. A lot of people thought I was crazy, but here's the moment where it's kind of looking like it might happen. Diamondbacks and Padres made some huge strides over the last 2 weeks. Padres more specifically, just because the fact that they've been winning just like late games. But no, 3.5 games back of the Dodgers right now. And I mean, both have been playing pretty solid, or all three have been playing pretty solid over the last 10 games. But the last couple of weeks, of course, it's been solid for all three teams. So Dodgers still on top, Diamondbacks and Padres tied for second place in the NL West, 3.5 games back. So still got a month and a half left to go. So really interested to see how this one's going to shake out. So anyway, this is how I'm going to end the show outside of, my Ben's bets picks and whatever. So my friend Alex, who is this gentleman in the glasses right here, really, my friend Sam, my best man at my wedding. Actually, my buddy Sean right here and my buddy Jared. So these three guys were groomsmen in my wedding. Sam, of course, being my best man. The only other person who was a groomsman who wasn't there was my brother Adam. That son of a bitch. But he was in Florida, so he couldn't make the trip, even though I invited him. But we decided to go to Casino Quest and learn some gambling. We learned Baccarat. I already knew how to play craps, but the other guys didn't. So, learned a couple things in craps and just kind of like, shot the shit for a while. So, if there's one thing I got to recommend for Las Vegas, and it's like, this is not a paid advertisement for Casino Quest, but if you want to learn how to gamble and you want to be able to like bring your own booze and drink, because we were tanked uh when we did this, and it was awesome. And everybody there was like super cool. It was incredible. Casino Quest is the way to do it. It's in Fashion Square Mall, on the Dillard side. And the reason I bring this up to you guys, if you ever decide to do it, is when we took a lift over, we got dropped on the exact opposite end of the mall. So we had to walk that entire stretch to try and find this place. It is upstairs. But yeah, they will let you bring your own beer. There is a convenience store inside the mall, so you can actually load up before you go in. But we did like a 2-hour session on craps. Then we learned an hour of Baccarat, which realistically you only need like 10 minutes to learn Baccarat. It's a very easy game to learn. But they only do it in an hour session. So it's just like, cool, just drink beer, shoot the shit with the dealer, and learn the game a little bit more. So it was a lot of fun and really glad that I did that. Shout out to my wife. This was her idea for us to do this. And God bless her for that one. So anyway, um, I did make some sports bets while I was in Vegas. This one was the most notable one. Which day was this? I can't remember. I can't remember. It was Friday. I think it was Friday. So this would have been what, August 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look at the calendar. Yes, Friday, August 2nd. So, yes, I agree. Better lose pretend money than real money. But, and I was gonna say, and what grip works for you. But this one, 4-leg parlay. I mean, I pulled this one out of my ass. I'm not gonna lie. Royals, yeah, it was odd because the Royals were underdogs against the Tigers. Of course, I'm taking that. Brewers, I knew were going to smash the Nationals. That, of course, happened. The third pick I took was actually the Mariners game, just because I felt like they were destined to win against the Phillies. And the real long shot, of course, was the A's over the Dodgers. This was a 3-game series, the start of a 3-game series, and actually the only game the A's won. The one thing I will admit is I did cash out, and the reason for that is because of the A's. They were pissing me off toward the end. They kept allowing runners on, and especially power hitters. Multiple times throughout the game, the Dodgers had, like, Otani had a chance at a grand slam to tie the game up when it was like 6-2. Because the final score of the game was 6-5 because the Dodgers hit a 3-run home run in the top of the ninth. So I did cash out at this $67.38. I'm not sweating $11. Like, that's a big enough of a win to be comfortable on. And like I said, the A's did win, which was great. But this was a circumstance, and especially based on the other times I had options to cash out for like hundreds of dollars. Most notably, the Pacers Boston Celtics game 3 incident, where I could have cashed out with $250 when the most I would have won was like 320 or something like that, and I didn't do it. So no, I was hedging my bet on this one. It's just like, nope, I am taking this money and I will be happy. So I was stoked about that one. That was a great fucking game. Um, oh god. And then the other one I cashed in on was men's 400. The fact that, I mean, I know I only threw $5 on this. I should have thrown more. I did throw $5 on the Italian runner who had won the gold medal in the previous Olympics as like a hedge bet, because that dude was going like plus 6,600. So the payout on that, if he would have like repeated, would have been insane. But I knew Lyles was going to win this odds. So easy $27.50 I cashed in right there. So in regard to sports bets, there were two other ones that I made. Um, One was South Sudan covering the spread against Serbia, which they did, but unfortunately, all the baseball pieces I added to that, as far as like a 4 or 5 leg parlay, did not come together. So that was a bummer. There was another baseball parlay I put together that didn't shake out, and I forgot to put one more together before I left Vegas, because I always tend to do that. I always put one more together before I leave to hope I come back to Vegas with money in hand. But either way, the previous baseball bet and the Noah Lyle bets were the most notable sports bets that I made. The one thing I will say before I show this last photo and end the show is I got down bad. Like, I was on full tilt. The last couple hours I was in Vegas, I think I was down close to $1,000. Not even joking. Craps giveth and craps taketh. And at New York, I went on an absolute heater on craps and did really well with that. But every other casino I rolled at, I think with the exception of El Cortez on the first night, it did not go well, and lost some money in some other games. Slots did not really go well for me. It was an odd trip, and I was down, I would say like 1,200 to 1,300 bucks. Granted, I got like 90 bucks from these two sports bets, so that was good. But this in the last 40 minutes, we were in Vegas. And of course, my wife came in for a few hours because she was in Denver for a bachelorette party. I've always said this for a long time that my wife is a good luck charm. And what happened here is definitely proof of that. So this is a game called Cash Machine. It's well, depending on the denomination. So it was on dollar denom. So $10 a spin to be able to play all three reels here. And in the first reel, you're either going to get nothing, a 1, a 5, or a 10. In the second reel, you're either going to get a nothing, a 0, a 1, or a 5. And in that third reel, you're either going to get nothing, a 0, a 1, a double 0, or a 5. So the way this one spun, uh, the double 0 hit, then it went up through a recharge. The second 0 hit, so then it went through another cycle, and the one was on the front. So $1,000, $1,000 being down 1,300 bucks, and just got absolutely bailed out in the last second. This like my wife, Steven, Seavright, and I play this game every time we're in Vegas. We'll just throw $100 in it and see, let God sort it out at that point. And up until like Memorial Day weekend, my wife hit $555 on this game. Steven is still like the fucking master at this game. Like he's only $100 in this machine, but he won $500 one time on like the third spin. And that he's only won money at this game, which is absolutely insane. I've gotten my ass kicked repeatedly at this game. So this is the first time it's ever actually like really paid out for me. Granted, there was another spin in the same cycle where I won like $105, so I was already up. Um, so I left the machine with like 1,130 after starting with 1,000 or with $100. So, essentially winning $1,030. Then there was another machine that had a maxed out major that I hit a couple bonuses on. So gained like another 50, $75 off of that. So I got out of the hole quick. So like I said, with the sports bets, with this hit, with the others, I took a $1,300 loss and turned it into only about like $120 loss for a trip, which absolutely incredible. So already can't wait to go back to Vegas, which is gonna have to wait till September, unfortunately for me. But anyway, Ben's bets to finish everything out. So from the last show that I did, here's how I did. 50-50, which is about the norm for me. We're so far removed from this time period, it doesn't really matter to go focus on it. But English Premier League starts this week, so I am super stoked about that. MLS gets back into high gear next weekend. So I've only got baseball and Premier League to talk about for this week. My lock of the week, I'm going bold. I've got Chelsea over Man City at the plus 290. Granted, Man City is the favorite to win this match. Today's parlay of the week, first one is going to be Padres versus Pirates tonight. Then I've got the Twins over the Rangers on Friday, and then Brighton over Everton. Wrap it up here. Meetings, whole hour on this one. So, but as always, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Always love seeing you. Um, I'm just now seeing Steven's comment. This is great. But yeah, we'll be back later tonight for Flip the Script. I believe we're going to start Dynasty mode tonight for College Football 25. And then, of course, I got recap tomorrow. So, as always, take it easy. And if you don't, take it sleazy. I will catch you guys later. Peace.